This e-bike has a really neat feature that I haven't seen on any other e-bike. To find out what it is and to learn more about this bike, stick around and continue watching. Welcome back. Today we're checking out the Asphalt ST by Mokwheel. ST stands for Step Through. If you watch this video until the end, which will cover the features of this bike and a real world test, you should have a pretty good idea if this e-bike is the one for you. And also a quick special thanks to Mokwheel for allowing me the opportunity to review this bike and to share it with all of you. Now right off the bat, this is a good looking bike. I actually love the color of it, and it actually comes in 3 colors. It comes in a mocha color, white, and this bluish lavender color. But beyond that, there's a lot more to talk about because this bike has a special, unique feature I've never seen on any other e-bike. So come on over, let's take a closer look at it. Starting off with the handlebars, we do have nice rubber grips. They're soft, they're rubber, they feel comfortable. On the left-hand side here, we do have your thumb paddle throttle right there. And we have a 5-button design control set here. So top button is power, long press to turn on and off. Plus and minus is your pedal assist modes. It does have 5 pedal assist modes. Bottom button is your headlight and tail light. And the button on the lower front here is your horn. So all we do is long press it, it will turn on. It does greet you with hello. It powers up, and on that display, which is a full color display, obviously shows your speed, miles per hour. These are your battery indicators here, your trip, pedal assist mode, and time that the bike has been running so far. You can go ahead and customize the settings to adjust the top speed. From factory it came in at 20, but you can increase it up to 28 miles per hour. You could also reset the trip for each trip that you do, and there's other settings you could adjust as well. And in case you're curious what the horn sounds like, here it is. Now these handlebars are adjustable a little bit. You can bring the handlebars farther forward or backwards. You could also adjust the height of it if you want them down lower or up higher. I prefer a higher up position. On the right hand side, we do have your 7-speed gear indicator and your paddle shifters as well. Coming down to the front of the bike, we do have an adjustable headlight, front plastic fender, front fork suspension, which can be adjusted for sensitivity or stiffness. And it does ride on a rather unique tire size of 27.5 by 2.4. They are more of a road tire, but they certainly can handle some light trail use. On the front of the frame, we do have 4 holes here. That is a space for an optional basket if you wish to add one. Coming down the side, we do have a key slot. It does come with a set of keys for the removal of the battery. The battery is a LG 48 volt, 14.7 amp hour battery, and I love that it's on the top side of the frame. Other bikes, or some other bikes, do have it on the bottom, which leaves it more susceptible to damage from things kicking up or hitting it from underneath. So on top, it is protected. And of course, having a removable battery makes it much easier to charge the battery. On the other side, you will find your port here for charging it up if you do want to charge it inside the frame here. Now the seat that comes with this is actually not terrible, but it's not great. And the reason I say that is because it's nice and wide. This gives you a lot of support, but it's not really thick, not real plush. So I'll give this a 3 out of 5 rating. If you're a heavier rider or going to be doing a lot of riding, especially long distance riding, I would recommend upgrading the seat. But for a standard seat that comes with it, it's not bad at all, but it's right in the middle. Not great, not terrible. It's sufficient. Coming to the back, we do have a rack that does come included. Below that is your plastic fender, but with this rack, you can obviously mount saddlebags, a crate, or storage tote of sorts. Another great feature of this bike is the weight. This weighs in at only 52 pounds. If you do remove the battery, it's even lighter, which makes it really nice and simple to not only transport this bike, putting on a bike rack or loading into the back of your car, but also having full control of this bike. It's not going to feel overly heavy or cumbersome. So 52 pounds, it's not a real heavy bike at all. It's actually on the lighter side for e-bikes. Most are over 60 pounds or closer to 100. This does have a payload capacity of 300 pounds. So if you are a larger rider or do want to carry some cargo on back, this will certainly be able to handle that. As far as distance goes, this has an estimated range of 60 miles, which is respectable, but that is under optimal conditions. So it's always dependent on the rider's size and the terrain. As I always give an example, if you're closer to the weight capacity of it, of 300 pounds, or riding a lot of hills, then you're obviously not going to get 60 miles out of it. If you're on the lighter end of it, or don't do a whole lot of hill riding, you're definitely going to get much closer to that 60-mile range. And the LG battery that does come with this bike does power a rear 500-watt motor. This is a Class 2 bike, tops out at 20 miles an hour, but as I mentioned, you can unlock it to get up to 28 miles an hour if you choose to do so. For stopping power, this does have hydraulic disc brakes. And last but not least, the feature that this bike has that I haven't seen on any other e-bike yet. Can you spot it from here? Maybe you can, maybe you can't. But right here, built into the frame, is an integrated tail light / brake light. So when you turn the headlight on, not only does the rear tail light go on, these illuminate as well. On top of that, when you hit your brakes, these light up as well. There's one on each side. So when you're riding at night and you have your lights on, people are going to see you from the front, from the back, and from the side. And when you're stopping, they're going to see you from the back and from the side as well. So having these built in is a great added safety feature, and it's really nicely uniform, low profile design, and it blends right in, and it looks like it's supposed to be there. So I've never seen it like that before. It is all LED lighting. They're nice and bright too, but that is a great feature that I've never seen on any other e-bike. We know this bike looks good, has a lot of great features, but how well does it perform? That's the question. I'm going to get geared up and we're going to do a real world test. We're going to do some city riding and some park riding here and see how well it performs, or maybe how well it doesn't perform, including some hills as well. And lastly, at the end, stick around because I'm going to share my good and not so good thoughts about the Asphalt ST. It's going to be a bit noisy out here, but this is a city environment. And we're going to get up here on the sidewalk here and cross over the bridge over the river. There is one feature I forgot to mention. This bike actually has a torque sensor, where a lot of other bikes do have a cadence sensor. Now with the cadence sensor, the way it works is when the pedals start moving, that tells the motor to activate and start powering the bike. Where with a torque sensor, the motor responds to how much torque you're putting into the pedals or how hard you're pedaling. So for example, I'm pedaling nice and slow right now, but if I start pedaling harder, the motor gives me more power to propel. So having a torque sensor is an awesome feature on this bike. My Hovsco does have that feature as well, and it's one of the best things on a bike is having a torque sensor compared to a cadence sensor. I can tell you this is a really comfortable riding position, especially that I adjusted the handlebars up a little bit higher. I'm not hunched over, I'm not sitting stiff. I'm in a really comfortable position. I feel like I could sit in this position for a long time and I won't get sore or stiff anytime soon. Now, one of the reasons I did pick a city for this real world test is because this bike is considered a city commuter. This is going to be great for people who do live in the city or work in the city, for getting around town, navigating without having to sit in traffic. And although it is a city commuter, it's also a leisure bike too. So you can take it on some light trails, some paths, and just have some fun with it as well. Suspension's not bad. Front fork suspension is doing pretty good. Riding on the sidewalk here, it is a bit bumpy, but nothing that's really uncomfortable or causing my voice to break or shake or anything like that. So it is suitable for this bike, especially having the lighter weight at only 52 pounds. It doesn't need a whole lot of suspension. The tires too, they're not fat tires, but they're not really skinny, narrow tires, so they do offer a little bit of suspension as well. But I am used to the fat tires, but these ones aren't too bad on this bike. Having the torque sensor in the city is really helpful and useful, because if I need to go slow, I can pedal nice and slow and the motor is not going to give me full power and take off on me. But if I do need to get power and take off, I just pedal harder and there I go. You can't do that on a bike with a cadence sensor. Got a slight hill here, so I have it in gear 4, pedal assist 2, and this is climbing it no problem. This will do decent on hills. So if you do live in a hilly environment, this is not going to be that bad on it because the torque sensor is going to help. Plus with the combination of the throttle, if you unlock this to go 28 miles an hour, you're going to have enough speed and momentum to climb a lot of hills. And just to show you, if I want to do throttle, just with my left hand thumb, and it propels away. Coming down, I'm going to do a pretty hard brake check here. Brakes, good stopping power. Can't go wrong with hydraulic disc brakes. I gotta say, if I was in the market for an e-bike, I would certainly consider this one for the fact that it's lightweight. You get decent distance. It's got a good battery in it, LG battery. The integrated light feature is a really cool feature, and it's just comfortable and looks great. Now, for some of my videos I do on my channel, I do some heavy off-road use, go to some pretty remote areas. This bike wouldn't be able to handle that. So it's not going to be, one bike fits all type of thing, but for leisure riding, certainly can't go wrong with it. Shifting, shifts nice and smooth. I'm still in pedal assist 2. I don't even really like to shift, or I should say change to pedal assist 5 because I'm in 2 and it's giving me everything I need. I'm cruising at 15 miles an hour, so I'm pedaling, getting exercise. If I want to go faster, I can go faster with pedaling or with the throttle. It's just fantastic. We'll go into the bridge here, give a little horn action. And this goes to show you could go from the city right to the trails. I have to say, that was one heck of a real world test. And surprisingly enough, this bike actually exceeded my expectations. But I did push it beyond its limits just a little bit. So first off, this bike is a joy to ride. I mean, I'm not exaggerating. It's super comfortable. Just the layout of the handlebars, the step-through design makes it super super simple to get on and off the bike. I love step-through design bikes, but the seating position, the handlebar position, the lightweight bike itself, it just makes handling and maneuverability a breeze. Like, you're not putting any effort into riding this bike. One of the more easier bikes to ride as far as just having to maneuver, turn, shift, pedal. So if you're new to e-bikes, keep that in mind. I do have some good and not so good things I do want to share. And the not so good is really minuscule compared to everything else. So I'm going to just cover that really briefly. So I pushed this bike beyond its limits when I went in the trails back here behind the park, not knowing there was some tree stumps, tree roots, rocks, and some soft mud. Almost like we're at a point where we were sinking into a few inches. Believe it or not, these tires are actually caked in mud, especially the back tire. It got to the point where it was actually spinning. I had to help it get out. So I use this bike not how it's intended for. It's not intended for stuff like that. With that being said, it actually did fairly well. It got me through those trails, went over those little tree bumps, tree roots, branches, and rocks. And the parts where it wasn't really soft and sticky, I was able to ride through it as long as I had momentum. The part where this really struggled is where I encountered some soft, loose gravel and stone. If you're going through material like that, it's not going to do well. These narrow tires just want to dig right into it, where on a fat tire bike, like a 4-inch wide fat tire, it's just going to ride right over the top of it. So loose gravel and stone, especially that's a few inches deep or thick, it's going to struggle. It wants to either stop you or just turn the wheel on you, so it's not intended for that. It's not even intended for muddy off-road use. But it came upon me, I went through it, and it got me back here in one piece. The bike just needs a good cleaning now. That is pretty much the negative. I'm just not a big fan of the tires. But the tires are road tires because this is, as I said, a city commuter. So riding through the city, no issues. It was a breeze. It handled the sidewalks, streets, you know, no complaints at all. Riding on the Riverwalk area, again, a joy, a breeze. The torque sensor makes it super easy. I kept it in pedal assist 2 most of the time. And whether it's going 5 miles an hour or 15 or 20, I was able to keep it there and kept it on gear 4 or 5, and the torque sensor got me the power I needed. So that was nice that I didn't have to keep shifting gears or pedal assist modes. Also, the throttle, the thumb throttle here, it has full power no matter which pedal assist you're in. So whether you're in pedal assist 1 or 5, you get full power. I do have it unlocked to 28 miles an hour, and it does indeed get up to 28 miles an hour. So you can have it as class 2 or class 3 depending on what you want to have. I will say though, lastly, that this is just a good looking bike. I mean, the color I love. The fact that Mokwheel gives you 3 color options. You could choose the one that fits you best, your styling, your looks. But this color for me, I chose it just because it's a bluish color, bluish lavender. Really striking, really shines in the sun. It's got some nice metal flake to it. So it's just a great looking bike. And this is not a bike that you want to abuse and take off-road and go through some really remote areas. It's not intended for that. If you're doing city commuting, leisure riding, light trails, parks like this, and this is a beautiful park, and then this bike was just a breeze to ride here. So if you get it knowing its capabilities and where it excels, you're going to love it. If you get it and try and use it for what it's not intended for, you're going to be disappointed. With that being said though, I do want to thank Mokwheel one more time for reaching out to me and allowing me the opportunity to share the Asphalt ST with all of you. To see more e-bike review videos, or if you want to compare, check the playlist down below, because by now you should know if this e-bike is the one for you. Otherwise, thanks so much for watching, safe riding, and as always, I'll see you in the next video.